All right, well, I'll do a quick intro here and we'll just say welcome to Bill Lilley. We've been following your posts on the APBA football group, not the APBA football page. There's seems to be a little more activity there. So thanks for joining us here. You're kind of the first interview in our mock 2, the reintroduction here. And I'm sorry we missed you in Canton a few years ago.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I live about 15 miles north of there. So that would have been, and I'm at the Hall of Fame all the time because I was a sports writer in both Canton and Akron. So we were heavily involved with particularly Joe Horrigan. I don't know if you remember him.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he just a great guy. He has since retired, and now I'm half a world away. But oh well, I'll get over there for one soon.
You're in Thailand, correct?
Correct. I've lived here since 2016.
Wow. Okay. And how do you transfer? How much of your APBA can you transfer to Thailand?
Well, you're allowed one shipment free of import taxes. Okay. So I had 400 pounds of APBA cards and game stuff shipped. That was my big shipment.
Oh my God.
Also had a 1912 box seat from Briggs Tiger Stadium.
Wow.
So, and my game used Detroit Tigers 1968 bats.
Wow.
So yeah, my shipment wasn't furniture and living essentials. My shipment was APBA baseball, football, and all the good things that go along with that.
Well, they count as essentials, I think, to
absolutely
to this group.
And for survival, mentally at least.
Mm-hmm. So are you still ordering as well, or that's your kind of collection is complete for now?
Well, my baseball collection's complete, and then I get the new set every year. I have at least one card set, and some seasons like 61, I have 5 variations.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got at least one from every year from 1901 through 2020. And what I do, I don't have them ship it over here because that would just be outrageous. I have them sent to my sister's home in Tennessee. And then when I go back, when there's not COVID, I just pack up. That's my 50-pound allowance in a suitcase. And I'll bring 6-7 sets back over.
Nice.
What the hell I'm going to do with them when I die, I don't know. But
well,
I don't think my 2-year-old daughter is going to have much interest in APBA Master Game football.
I don't know. You just kind of leave the box there. The box is so appealing. The cards. What are these things?
Yeah,
that do things. Numbers.
I just love holding those cards. I've been doing it since '69. And it's just something you can't get out of your blood. The computer games are easier to play. The New York competitor has a decent football computer game, but there's nothing like doing the math and watching the game engine unravel the play. There's nothing like that.
Exactly. Do you play? Had you played a lot of competitors or any competitors, or was APBA your first?
Well, I had played Stratomatic starting when I was 11. We had a few kids at my high school, Copley High School. Actually, it was a middle school then, and they had it. Their older brothers had it. I didn't have an older sibling. And so we played that. And then, like many other people, I saw an ad in Street and Smith's annual yearbook. And, this looks intriguing. So kind of wanting to be a little different than all the other guys. I ordered this game. And it's the baseball we're talking here, of course. It's the only game that offers the pitcher and hitter involvement on every play. Nowhere else is that available. You play Strat, Sandy Koufax's card might not get read for 3 or 4 batters.
Hmm. There you go. Yeah, it's that very much that strato. I've got a few sets of the football, and I still have yet to
Yeah.
try it. It's kind of and I've heard, I guess, kind of that similar aspect. And then the football game really becomes even an innovation from the baseball, since the baseball was, of course, derived from the national pastime game, Clifford Van
Right.
Beek, and then the football engine is something entirely different, but in that obviously derived from, originating kind of in that DNA, but being really
Yeah.
engineered completely differently.
Complete. Yeah. Well, the guys, Ogard 62, Greg Barrett was one of them. I think Howard Alskog
All right.
was another. But those guys that reinvented the game about 81, 82, somewhere around there, they just did a remarkable job, because we had played APBA football. We had just segued from APBA baseball in the summer, had our high school league, played in the library study rooms, then played in people's homes during the summer. And for kids 12, 13 years old, unbelievable. Just a great pastime, pardon the pun. And so we segued into the football, figuring it was going to be the same. Well, it wasn't. The game, it just came to, well, gee, everybody throw a long pass, and whoever rolls a double number, an APBA roll, is going to win. It was just a bunch of long passes. So you ended up playing APBA football instead of replaying NFL football. We got bored with that, and I found TSG up in Toledo, like in 70, 71, and that was pretty good. And then I got married, had kids, they played ball, and I kind of lost interest. I was into triathlons too. And I went to the convention. Now, I'd still been playing the baseball, but I hadn't touched the football in years. And I went to the convention in 2017, which is just a great experience overall. And Ogard, Greg Barrett, put on a 1-hour seminar on fumble frequencies, which, is really minutia, but it presented the game and the options. And I really got intrigued, and I went back to it, got some personal tutoring from one of the masters, Ogard, who's just a wonderful guy.
He is.
And I fell in love with the game. It is a brilliantly engineered game. And it's like a high level master's chess match when you're up against somebody like Ogard.
Sure.
It's brilliant. To watch him perform is like watching Bobby Fischer. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. And I really enjoy playing solo. I don't obviously use all the bells and whistles, the blitzes, et cetera, but the Fletch 67 and the one variations chart, I think, gives a pretty realistic, and what's really good about it, I think, it rewards higher point indexes on defenses, because they get more of the play calls from a defensive standpoint correct. And it makes it just, when we played in the late 60s, the scores were like 66 to 54. Now, with this Dolphins replay I'm doing, it's 10-9. It's ball control. You want to throw a long pass, well, you'll probably complete about 8% of them. It's fun. And I think the greatest thing for older guys, I'm 66 now, is you can relive your past, and in particular, your youth. And some of these games you play, I remember where I was sitting watching the game. And now I'm replaying it. It's just unbelievable. I do a lot of 68 Tigers stuff. I was a freak on the Tigers.
Sure.
And when I do their replays, I think the date's June 21st. There's a doubleheader, and I'm replaying a game or two games I was at.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, it's just, and this is now, 53 years ago. So it's really kind of neat. Now, nobody else over here. I'm sorry, there's one guy in Bangkok, Greg Rashid, who does play. And he came down for a day and we had a marvelous time. But nobody else here cares. Even what's strange, even the guys that are big NFL fans, and there's a bunch of Americans here.
Sure.
They don't care. I mean, I try and come over. You got nothing. Oh, well, we're going to the bar. Well, come over and play this. You love the Seahawks. I've got the 2013 Super Bowl Seahawks. Come over and play. Nah, it's, they're younger. I don't know. So
Well, you got to take the game to the bar. I think folks have done that.
No, yeah, you'd get thrown out.
There you go.
They're not looking for table space for dice games.
Yeah.
Especially, and there's not a high percentage of Americans over here. So, now I get MLB package, NFL Network, NHL. I get all that stuff. So I keep up and watch the games and that, but my real passion are these replays of the games of the past, because I live in the 60s and 70s through APBA, and it's really neat. I don't play a lot of recent vintage games. Like now it's the 72 Dolphins. Can they relive that undefeated season? I don't know. We'll see. Hell, the Oilers, who were 1-13, should have beat them. Miami won 10-9. And, so it's just a great game. Love it to death.
Yeah, I was just I mean, that's obviously you're pretty active on that in the group, not the page, and now it makes sense since it's so well written and statistically accurate that you were actually a veteran of the print business, as am I. So
yeah, I spent 43 years. I started when I was 15 at the Akron Beacon Journal and was a writer for the majority of that time, and then became assistant sports editor, and then went to the copy desk at the end. I guess the more you know, the less you get to write. So,
well, something like that. Yeah. Well, you don't have to. It's kind of being, it's like a cop being put on the desk, at the end of the career or something, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually did it in reverse. Did editing and then doing the report.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here. And so I it's interesting is I wonder, you talk about 60s and 70s and replaying games you're at. And, I did a $76 replay. A lot of people have done it. I just wonder what is the most replayed team. I wonder if the 72 Dolphins aren't kind of in that category as possibly the most replayed team.
I agree with you. I've had several, probably 5 or 6 notes tagged on that, hey, when I did this, the Oilers gave them a hell of a game too. So, and much more so than any other team. I just get the feeling, I can't, analyze this and give it to you factually, but I get a feeling that there are not replays done in the football game like there are in the baseball game. I think there's I just get a feel there's a lot more seasonal replays, even though there's a ton more games. But the games take the baseball games take about a fourth of the time with the stats and everything. It takes me, I break my football games into halves, which they do anyways. And I take a break. Maybe it's a dinner break. Maybe it's a day break. Maybe it's 2 days. It doesn't matter. I'm retired. I do 3 hours of swim, bike, run, lifting a day for triathlons. So I have the rest of the day to do this. And what's kind of funny is you'd think, oh, well, get it done, get it out of the, no, no, man, this is such a good game. I don't want it to end. You
That's
know,
right.
and one time I was redoing Super Bowl III and the Jets got down to the 4. I'm sorry, the Colts got down to the 4. So I just stopped the game there, did the write up, and left it open. Hey, what do you guys think? You make the call for me. So I'm sorry, it was the Jets. And then Namath threw a touchdown pass on the other side to Sauer. And another neat thing that I find, I go in before every Dolphins game, like I'm getting ready for week 4 of the Jets. I go in, I read the box score, I try and find some game stories just to get a flow. And if somebody was hurt that week, well, I don't play them. But you'll learn so much about the guys. And it's just great stuff. And you know, today with the internet and everything, there's so much more information than we had back when we were kids. I mean, you got the football news, Roger Stanton and Pam Stanton had columns, and you got some dope. Oh, that was pretty good stuff. I mean, that's mere child's play to the just volumes of information that's available now. And a lot of it is from the old stuff. And you even get older players retelling, or you get offspring of some of the players, like Gail Cogdill's daughter. She lives in Phoenix. I chat with her all the time to find out about 60s Lions stuff. And they're very willing to say, oh yeah, he was kind of a jerk, or he didn't belong playing, but he was with the owner's wife, whatever. And that stuff, especially in the 60s, that wasn't available. The writers held out. They protected guys, particularly people like Mantle. It's different. So there's this wealth of information that we would have loved to have had access to 50 years ago. Well, now we do. So relive the moment, expand the knowledge base of said moment, and it's an enhancement of life.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. To me, these games become an art form of life. Both the players as players and the players as people.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the most interesting thing in that vein, do you remember Ron Hunt from the Mets?
I'm not as much on first on.
Okay. Well, in baseball, he actually was an APBA forced innovator. He got hit by pitches 50 times in, I think it was 71. And he created, that forced APBA to create PRN 42, the hit by pitch. Otherwise, his card would have had like 30 22s on it. There's no other way. So Seitz, very unlike Seitz to change things, but he did change. He had to. It forced his hand.
Yeah.
And later on, and I was kind of a big fan of Ron Hunt. I got hit by pitches. I was an OBA guy when I played. And then I'm coaching my son's team. And at 12, I see this little thing on ESPN, and it's a rain delay filler for an Expos game. I had an old parabolic dish back then. And it's a 30-minute thing, a little featurette on Ron Hunt running a baseball camp at his farm in St. Louis. So to make a long story short, I talked my way into there to bring my son to play for my idol. And he and I become really, really close friends. He's almost like my second father. And then when he and Jackie, his wife, would go back to Shea every fall, they would stop and spend 3-4 days at our house in North Canton. But here's the unfortunate part. Hey, Ron, you want to play this game, APBA baseball? You can manage yourself. What the hell do I need to man? I don't need some replay game. I played the damn game myself.
There you go.
So,
Well, those who do don't have to replay again.
exactly. And he wasn't, and he didn't. He never did. He's still alive. Obviously, I don't see him much now, but those are the kind of things, the interpersonal relationships that are just that make life just so rich.
For sure.
And I've had a ton of those through APBA baseball, a few like Kristen Cogdill, Gail's son, through football. And she was really interested. I'd send her pictures every time they reissued one of the NFL early seasons of the 60s. I'd take a picture of the Gail Cogdill card and send it to her. And, oh, hey, that's really nice. Oh, he's an A. Is that good? Yeah, that's really good. At top of the level.
Nice, nice.
So, it expands the universe, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun to play too. The new game is just priceless. I don't play any other. I still have the TSG stuff, but if I'm going to spend 2 hours, it's going to be with an APBA football master game.
Mhm.
It's brilliant. My only regret, I can't find anybody to fly over and play.
Well, now you know that the National Card Football League is based in Ohio. They been around, I think, since '81, and they innovated the Skype method.
Oh, did they?
I mean,
Okay.
they did the demo for us. We had everyone do demos up at Canton. So
Oh,
Ray Dunlap did his demo, and they ended up started doing that at the convention. So
right.
that's what So Greg had done his kind of. I've actually got his presentation still here, which he probably has on his site. But what was I going to say? Where was I going?
But that's a
well,
draft and keep league, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
but they're very robust with their and they held a tournament in 2014. Speaking of undefeated teams, I took the '07 Patriots, the almost undefeated, and lost in the last game
Yeah.
last June, but bad play calls and all. But
Yeah.
yeah, there is it's certainly time to get more of that going. I mean, everyone talks about doing it, but we actually had Phil Malloy in Australia participated in that,
Yeah.
and it was quite seamless.
Yeah.
You could have now you could have multiple players. You could do your draft day online, do whatever you want to do.
Sure.
So, I mean, I think if you just advertised on any of the pages we have up here now, just say, hey, I'm looking for a Zoom partner. Spend a time a day.
Yeah. Well, this is a beautiful connection. Far better than Line or Facebook, whatever.
Sure.
And I have a little aside on the Patriots and play calling.
Mm.
One of my goals, and it's not going to happen soon, but one of my goals is to have Josh McDaniels play APBA football with me. And yeah, he was my son's kicking coach.
Wow.
And he was the quarterback and kicker on the Canton McKinley team when I covered it. So I became real good friends with his dad, who was the head coach. And Josh and I became great friends. Then my son started to grow up, and Josh was his kicking coach. And so I guess I can actually claim I was the first guy to hire Josh McDaniels as a coach.
There you go. Nice. Perfect.
But I would love to sit down with him. And he's a real fun guy, really, really entertaining, personable, but love to sit down with him and have him pick a Patriots team and then do it like he did in the game.
Well, you got to get him to document it. You got to get him to document that. Like, you got to get that all on video or audio, something. Just because if he'd be agreeable to it, it's it's it would be interesting to have gotten some of the players to actually play. I wonder what they would. It's kind of like when Rock Band came out, and I think they tried to get Ringo Starr to play it. It's a completely different set of skills.
Yeah, sure. Now, there have been some baseball players that played these kinds of games, like Jim Gantner and Paul Molitor they were early investors in Pursue the Pennant, and they actually played. And I think the most famous APBA player has been David Eisenhower.
Right.
He played the baseball. I don't know if he still does. I believe he's still living, but yeah, I don't know. But the most famous football guy has got to be Ogard.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's where you're kind of getting in that with the write-ups. I mean, I think the visibility is certainly a big part of it, and that's what you know, bringing it out into
Yeah,
kind of off those little I don't want to say secretive forums, but they're kind of the older format
yeah,
forums and bringing it out.
yeah. I hope in the write-ups I give it a little personality
Oh, absolutely.
and make it fun. I mean, I'm not going to change the facts,
Right.
although they do that today in mainstream media.
Yeah.
I came out of the old guard, but yeah, I want to make it fun because it is fun. And I think the hockey I worked with too. I did a couple tournaments, and I had gotten some feedback from some of the folks that, boy, sales went up, maybe by 3 or 4, I don't know, but you know, I'm
Hey,
not looking for a cut.
right.
I think John Herson just does a fabulous job. Without that man, we wouldn't have new cards.
For
We'd
sure.
have what we have, and that's it, buddy. And
That's
we
it.
wouldn't get the only thing I'm pissed off at him about, he keeps missing the reissue of 1968. And it was the great statistical season of the emergence of the Dallas Cowboys. And
Mm,
as a kid with the last name Lilley,
mm,
although it's not spelled the same,
right.
you know, we just envisioned that he was a cousin or something. So we were big fans. And that was an exciting team. You had the world's fastest human.
Yeah.
You had Dandy Don, who later became quite a celebrity on his own.
Yeah.
And just, again, fun to play, and good guys to be around.
Right.
And you see those names, and Leon Donahue, and who the hell was he? Or Jim Bokey. But you'll learn who they are.
Well,
And,
that's it.
and
Yeah,
that's,
you project into the game. You really do go, and then, as you say, you know, there's a lot less mystery. I'm just looking at my copy of 10 Gallon War, which kind of documents the rise of the AFL and
mhm,
the introduction of the Cowboys. So I think he's talking the 60 to 62 when the
yeah,
Cowboys were the fledgling NFL team, the, you know, Texans who went on to be the Chiefs, and
right.
so am I going to edit out that comment about John, or do you want me? Is that good for public consumption?
Oh, no, I was
I
just
know.
kidding. He's a good guy.
No, and that's it. I mean, I just looked at, you know, the 61 football season came out recently. I'd love to kind of
Yeah.
dig down if he'd be amenable to it, to kind of talk about who is calculating the cards, if it's him or if he's got some of his, you know, the group, the Zarbs and the Dunlips and whatnot involved. You know, because going back and making those seasons uh, accessible on the master format is critical, and he's just knocking them all out, the
Yeah,
60s and 70s, which are, you know, some incredible seasons. I mean, those Packer
absolutely.
seasons,
Oh,
obviously. And going back to your write-ups, I mean, they are exactly in line with the, you know, the great brochures of the football game. I mean, that's what really sucked you in. I'd love to, whoever wrote the copy for that, if it was Seitz himself or Skeet or Verrill, or,
probably.
you know, but it's just, it really, you know, and I think your write-ups are, you know, capturing that spirit to a T.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, in any way I can help further this, I'm very happy to. I want to perpetuate the game. And John is a good guy. And the big difference between John and Fritz Light and Seitz,
Hmm.
you know, the wizard behind the door. Um, John's just straight on honest.
Hmm.
He will tell you, and the way it is, where Light would kind of, he wouldn't answer the question, and Seats would just give you a, you know, go to hell look.
There you
You
go.
know,
Everyone's got a
yeah,
style.
I don't know how the game survived, because you had to make sales
Right.
to
Oh
make
yeah.
it survive. And that guy was the worst customer relations person I've ever dealt with.
Sure.
He he was just terrible. It was basically, if you don't like it, so what? I don't care. It's my game. Well, okay.
It's,
Yeah.
well,
And
it's-
you know how they say you can make statistics work any way you want them
oh
to?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, the big push, you're probably not old enough to remember, but the big push in the late 60s was lefty righty.
Hmm.
I mean, you were starting to get some stats on TV. So it was intriguing. Well, why doesn't APBA do this? Well, Seitz came back in one of those pink flyers,
Right.
little accordion style flyers.
No.
And well, in 1967, Al Kaline betted 298 off righties and 296 off lefties. Okay, he did. I'm sure he did. But that's one guy out of 70 years. And, it just, so what happened, I believe, is Stratomatic went to their advanced game, double sides of the cards. And the backside had the lefty righty. That forced Seitz to go into the master game.
Mhm.
And it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Now, he was probably drugged by Fritz Light and others, Burl Lincoln, screaming and yelling into a new era.
Sure.
But he did. And they've made revisions on that. The game has changed.
Sure, sure.
Football
Well,
game has changed, and they made revisions.
well, and as I understand it, I mean, at least Seitz had said, on several occasions, as I'm recalling it, going back to our kind of the evolution of the games that we've kind of put together, that he heard all those, you've got to make it more this or that, a little more statistically accountable to this development, that development, and make it a little more richer or a little richer. But he stressed that he still wanted to keep the game as competitive as he could, and playable. So it's kind of it's a fine line to straddle.
Yeah, I understand. And going to the master was really done very well because you still had the basic game. You don't want master, play basic.
Exactly.
Oh, so you want master? Here it is.
Right.
And of course, it's evolved. And I had one face-to-face meeting with Seitz.
Oh, wow.
And
Really?
yeah, I was very young, probably 20. And my girlfriend and I went to her grandmother's in Baltimore, and I wanted to see Memorial Stadium. So on the way back, I said, well, we're close, we're stopping. And we did. And came out, said hello, shook my hand. I introduced myself. He turned around and left.
That's enough of that, I think.
Yeah, quit bothering me, kid. I
Oh,
got work to do. I gotta figure out how to get rid of this lefty righty stuff.
oh my goodness. There you go.
So, but now John at the conventions, and the thing, not only is he very personable
Mhm.
and extremely approachable, he's honest. He just tells you, oh, the horse racing game is a dead issue.
Yeah.
There's not going to be another one. But what he won't tell you is what you alluded to earlier. Who are the big four sitting in that back room doing the cards?
Sure.
Yeah, because I'm sure. Well, I remember Seitz used to, just come right out and state and releases and that. Don't bother us. We're not going to talk about a pitcher's grade.
Yeah.
We're just not going to talk about it. So, who knows? But yeah, John does not talk about that, protects the innocent. And the stuff just gets better. That's what I love about it. Unfortunately, the clientele base is not expanding.
That's the issue. Yeah, that's the and obviously for all the reasons that have been well documented ad nauseum. I mean, you've got so many distractions, digital and otherwise. At least, obviously in the pandemic, a lot of people have gone to. I mean, guitars. I'm a guitarist, so guitar sales have gone through the roof. or somewhere up in the higher they were,
Yeah.
and games hopefully have. I mean, again, it's things like this that really, I think, help make it more accessible. You know, the Bridesburg Boys and Girls Club outside Philly, as I recall, John Cochran, the Hall of Famer, and
Mhm.
all those folks have
Yeah.
been doing the games there. So I mean, there are pockets of that, you know, and I think you know, I see in the APBA site officially, there's still the video of the couple of kids seeing the game, playing the game, something like that. So yeah, the online component and the ability to go out, which is why we went to Canton, to try to make it a little more
Sure.
visible, you know. I mean,
Sure.
take it around. And in baseball, the tournaments are you know, they actually started around 2013 as well. I remember that summer, all these, you know, Doug Schuyler and
Mhm.
Chicagoland, and they just
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
popping up, you know. So
Yeah.
more of that. And people have been saying that for years. Jim Shea been saying it, you know, how to kind of, you know, make that, you know, and I understand obviously the game, you know, the headquarters is in Atlanta now. Um, once hopefully we get through this situation, you know, an Apple mobile or something, who knows? I mean, I
Well,
mean,
it's going to need something because, uh, I mean, this is very devastating to me personally.
hmm,
My son, I have one boy, four girls. Everybody played ball. My daughter was on Team USA, and my son played Notre Dame, and then 3 years in the St. Louis organization. So he was into baseball. Now, was he exposed to APBA and even Strat? Well, of course. I mean, it's all over the house. We're playing leagues. My buddies are over.
yeah,
We had great face-to-face leagues with mostly guys in newspapers from Northeast Ohio. And we meet on Sunday. So he had all this exposure, all this availability, bought him the 98 Strat because it had Derek Jeter and the incredible Yankees, bought him APBA games. He had no interest.
hmm,
Zero. Zero. Now he'd go play, and he was a hell of a player, but the guy had no. It's that they were the electronic games,
mhm, mhm.
because you're talking, the late '90s now,
You know,
and that's
it's in, you know, I got into the I mean, I was a Steelers fan, huge Steelers fan. So 78, 79, that's when I saw the APBA ad and bought it over the Stratomatic, actually, as I recall, because the write-ups were better. Copy sells. And but at the same time, the video games were starting to come out as well. You know, the handheld. I mean, it was basically a hyphen running across a field of.
yeah,
But you know, you got even still with Madden. You know, I got into those, and you can play as a franchise player and do all the
yeah,
adjustments and all that. I mean, it's incredible stuff, but it's an absolute 180-degree difference than, you know, getting into, as you say, you know, kind of projecting who are these people. You know, the just the number. If you look at that card for the first time, you remember how it is. It's like, how does this possibly work?
sure,
Right? Yeah.
sure, but it works beautifully. It all comes together, and the thing that just keeps pulling me in is the way the game engine performs, particularly football. Now, baseball's wonderful too, especially the master game. The pitcher is even more involved, which is great. But the football master game, you just understand why the play broke down. The other team made a great call.
Yeah. Do you
Crappy
do?
dice roll.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's 1 out of 36. And you understand why Tittle had 3 1s in that car.
Hmm, hmm.
You know, it's just great stuff.
Three questions here, and we can try to, if you help me remind me. So when you've got that, you know, that back or that receiver who's got a million ones on it, you know, you've got to moderate that performance. You try to limit. You've got to try to pick your spot. You know, if there was that one
Yeah.
special play. So I wonder how you do that. You're talking about the drive. You know, that leaving that play at a, you know, third and goal at the 4. Do you have any superstitions about stopping in the middle of plays and drives, because saw a couple of discussions about that, and I'm going to forget my third question. Well, any customizations that you do in your gameplay, or anything you do to kind of, change up the ratings or tweak any numbers that you think might be a little out of bounds?
No, let's start at the third one.
Sure.
I trust the game company. I'm playing that game. I leave the numbers alone. I play by the rules, and it is what it is. And I don't mind it at all. I'm thankful they did the work, and I'm thankful they put all the research into it. And I trust them. I really trust them, and I don't want to change things. It's the way the game is. Now on superstitions, or playing through, like on that, there's 5 seconds left. That's the last play from the 4. I could have let that hang for a month. It would have been great. There's other times. The big reason at halftime, I get up and walk away. Sometimes I have a pool in my backyard. I'll just go out and swim and come back. Other times I'll sleep on a night. I want to let that sink in, because, there's a lot of plays in these games. There's a lot of things happening. And I think a lot of times we rush to get through the game, to get the game done. I want to savor it. It's like that great Canadian maple syrup on that pancake, and you want to put just the right amount. Don't want to get too much and make it too sweet, but you want to have enough that you really can savor it. And that's kind of the way I treat the football games. It's like a great meal, and I just love them. And I'm still tremendously attached to the 60s Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing those guys play, as far as limiting the trick plays, the Dolphins, the biggie is Marlon Briscoe. Got a hell of a passing card. So I've only used it once in 4 games, and it didn't work. Crappy rolling. Oh, the Dolphins rolling has been terrible. Just terrible. Every time the Dolphins are there, I roll first for the Fletch, and I'll roll a 66. Then for the Dolphins player, I'll roll a 21. It's like it never fails.
So there's a superstition too. Too many rolls and for other calls. Do you feel like you're wasting that 66?
I do. I do. But that just, it gets, oh crap, another 44 on the Fletch. I know this next one's going to be bad. and so, hey, what was interesting last week, and I didn't realize this, Zonka in the middle of the field rolled an 11, 1-1, second best APBA roll possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5.
Oh,
it's a 5-yard gain. 5-yard gain. Okay, I'm not going to tweak that. That's the game.
Right.
That's what it's what it is. Okay, he gets 5 yards. Yeah, they need a touchdown. They're losing, but I'm not going to tweak the game. And so I mean, I like to really let the game sink in. I play one Dolphins game a week because I don't want to hurry through. I want to enjoy. I want to savor it, and I want to remember each game.
Sure.
And it's a 2-hour investment. I'm 66. I don't have a lot of years left, but I want to make the most of that time.
Sure.
And maybe my daughter will play. I don't know.
There you go.
She's 21 months, so she's in the pool, but I don't know if she's going to be. She does love to crawl up on my chair, grab the shaker, and she'll come over when she hears the dice in the plastic making the. She'll come over and then she'll grab for it and that. So maybe I'll keep it going. Otherwise, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with $20,000 worth of APBA cards when they inherit all that.
Yeah, we have to make
Well,
maybe her college fund contingent on her learning how to play the game and playing doing the replay, full season replay or something. Let's see. So are you
There
playing?
was one other question. I forget what it was. The
Oh
first
no,
one.
that was it. I mean, just yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
you've got that card that's somebody that one wild play that worked,
Oh,
and
okay.
everyone knows about it. It's like that halfback pass that
Yeah, Dan Reeves.
Yeah. So,
He was great. Yeah,
oh,
if Reeves hadn't tore up his knee in '68,
mm.
he was a Hall of Fame player. I really believe that
Oh yeah.
because he wasn't a great athlete. He was a great football player. He even kicked extra points in the NFL.
True. Yeah, I mean you forget when you go back. I mean, the Cowboys came on quickly. I mean, they were only a 6-year-old team when they played. They hosted the championship in Dallas in '66, right? And then '67 the Ice Bowl, and then they kept missing, and they couldn't get there until '71.
'70 they got there, and then that was the horrible Craig Morton game.
Right.
Jim O'Brien, a rookie out of UC, wins it 16-13. Yeah, and then the next year was incredible.
The only time that defensive player, the team or the player for the losing team won the MVP.
That's correct, Mr. Howley. Yeah, that was great stuff. And when I replayed the '67 Cowboys, when that set came out, because when these new '60s sets come out, I replay the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And just see how they do. And there again, I was at this game.
Wow.
I remember where I sat. I was in the end zone upper deck at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, and Chuck Howley picked off a pass and scored. And I went into Pro Football Reference. Sure enough, there it was. My dad's sister and I went up there. So, it just brings back those memories. And I had a great childhood. It was just wonderful. And you relive it. This was a big part. We gather in a front porch. There'd be 3 or 4 different sets of boards, and we'd be playing APBA baseball for 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
Just a bunch of kids. And today is so different.
Interesting. I wonder maybe it's there needs to be a youth APBA ranch or something.
There you go.
To go along with that too.
But I think we go back to the electronic games equation. Sure. And our game is too slow. It's not colorful like an electronic game is.
Now this is there's two things there. Colorful. It's actually someone was asking about the '95 set, and he said, "Oh, the boards have colors on them." You remember when they went in '95, they kind of tried to simplify the game and make it a little more colorful, and then that 2000 edition where they had the cards complete colorful and all that kind of a thing, and now print, with the pandemic, but even before that, I mean, print games, card games are a pretty hot commodity now. I wonder, I think there's a kind of a semi-hipster element,
Really? Okay, I hope. But I wonder who is buying. Is it guys like you and me upgrading our collections to play because we're playing more games, or are there new younger people?
I think it's kind of that pre-55 group, and board games in general.
Okay.
When Bob Tassinari, I don't know if you know him, he also came to the Hall of Fame. 2012, 2013 was a really big time, I mean, at the time, Tom Nell Shoppen's APBA blog was pretty much the only thing going outside the Delphi forums. And Paul Dillon came along, 1 for 5. But oh geez, again, I lost my point here. What was I going to say? Where was I?
We're getting old.
Yes, that's oh my goodness. Bob Tassinari had bought the APBA Journal, and he actually lived near me at the time. He
Okay.
came out to the conference, and you don't hear from him anymore, but he came down and played. We played a Patriots Steelers game, might have been 76 or might have been 81, I forget. And he turned me on to this game called Ticket to Ride, which is this great board game that,
Okay.
if you check it out, and huge following. It's got tons of variants and all that, kind of like the old Avalon Hill War games, the module,
Yeah.
and so, and our neighbors play that game as well. We got them into that. So there's still a hunger for the board game speed and that savoring that you're talking about, and that interaction. You can't really play 6 people. I mean, you can, but it's all, on the other side, my friend, was a partner in my music channel, has a son who's playing games through Discord, and it's a whole, but it's that disconnection. And I think maybe with the pandemic easing up, and these kids, I know, friends that have children, those kids really want to get back to socializing. So maybe something like this, a face-to-face thing, there's a window here. I don't know.
That'd be great. Because we do need and that younger element. Now, at some of the tournaments and even at the nationals, there are a few youngsters. There's a few females and there's a few kids, but very few, very few. And, I worry, 30 years down the road, well, it won't be my worry then, that, what's going to become, because it's just too good to lose.
Well, that's it. I mean, and I was just, I posted a couple of things. I'm just going back into the, obsessing over the eBay auctions. I don't, we've got a pretty big collection here, so not the biggest, but yeah, you wonder what's going to happen to all these cards that are all over the place. I mean, they should be.
See, some people are still paying $4,000 and $5,000 for those 53, 54 baseball sets. And what are they going to do? Well, I mean, I have some 50s originals.
Wow.
I'm not going to sell them. I enjoy having them there, and I think it's 190 seasons total in baseball, and so I have a big wall with cabinets, and I call it the Great Wall of APBA baseball. And I don't have nearly, obviously, as much football. I have probably 20 seasons of football, primarily the 60s and 70s.
Sure.
But, I just love having the stuff and knowing, what, that 57 baseball, it's pretty neat. I got both the 57 original football and the 57 baseball.
Nice.
So it's and that's, I was 2 years old then, but, it's kind of neat. And, fortunately, I don't need the money. So I don't have to sell them. I just bring them over here and they'll sit. And I enjoy them. Yeah, it's part of the gig.
That's right.
And it's a great one. I mean, how many things in your life have you been doing for 60 years? This is a constant. It's something, many of us have not grown out of. And then I see on some of the, mostly the baseball, there's guys in there saying, I started playing in 54. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. That's just awesome. It's great stuff. And I'm going to say this too. It's going to sound like a big plug for John and APBA, but it's very true. I've been in both crowds. And obviously, anytime you have a group, there's going to be personality differences. But all in all, the APBA community is so damn special. Starts with John, but it goes all the way down. I've probably met 5,000-6,000 people at all these tournaments and that. And there's a couple that I don't want to talk to. Out of that many. It's just great. And Greg Barrett is just the greatest ambassador the game company could ever have. He just oozes APBA football. His love for it. And it's genuine, and I mean, I love to win, and I had finished second in the baseball tournament with, of course, the 68 Tigers at the National
Nice.
in 17 and 19. And I was upset. Damn, I lost best of 5 to the Pirates in 5 games.
Mhm.
How are you, you're just not going to get that close. And then in 19, I came back and I got beat in the quote Super Bowl in the football tournament by Greg.
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved it. I loved it. I loved getting beat by Greg.
There you go. That's a
It was like an honor. It's like, losing to Bobby Fischer in a chess match. Oh, this is great. Oh, you're beating me. Okay, I don't care. I'm having a great time just being here, just soaking this up. I'm with APBA football royalty.
That's right. That's exactly the word. Yeah, that's it. So how are they doing the tournament? Are they doing it? Because the way we did, we had kind of you really have to kind of get into, 3-hour game, break, 3-hour game over the.
Yeah. Okay. The baseball tournament basically starts, I think, Saturday around noon.
Right.
Then closes up, come back for the playoffs Sunday morning. Boom, bang, boom.
Right.
The football goes on, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, they're doing it all
I think
the
it's
way. Yeah.
3 days. And it's a much more, hey, what time can we get together? We're the next game. We're the semis. What time can we play? How's 2 tomorrow? Oh, good. Okay. And we meet, and there's really not the following. The baseball is pretty heated.
Mm-hmm.
And but not like that other New York company where you play for money.
Oh, yeah.
Those things, I got out of that. Those things are ruthless. I go to have a good time. Everybody's got a great team. So if there's 60 people, you got to figure you have a 1.6 chance in winning, which isn't very good. I go to have a good time. I did not enjoy myself at those.
Yeah, that adds a whole other, element.
Yeah. That's so, but no, the football, it's growing. But you can't run it the same way you run the baseball.
Right.
You can't have, 65 people in there playing games at one time.
You'd have to kind of do something. That's a good, interesting point. I mean, we had kind of hoped to have about 24 people, maybe break it down into, I got to go back and look at my notes, but yeah, it's, the way the NCFL does it, I think they've got 8-10 teams. I mean, and all the league play, they've got it kind of down to and it is hard to keep people, once you get to keep that ball rolling, so to speak. I know Barrett's got his rolls down about an hour and a half a game. I think I heard.
Really? Wow.
On you get the Double Take podcast, This Week in APBA, and we'd interviewed him in 2013 or 12 even, I think. So yeah, I mean, he's been refining that thing. It's always a ex-military analyst. So as you know, so to the Cowboys, well, actually I was back to the 72 Dolphins. Are you using the recalculated master set or the original board set? Okay.
No. Almost everything I play is the reissued.
Okay.
And I've got the world championship game, so it's got some teams that, so I use those boards, but I'm playing the reissued. I buy every one that comes out, and I'm just dying for that 68.
Mm-hmm. What about so going back, speaking of the Cowboys, 71, of course, was the year that Morton and Staubach were going. It was the one game
at the start, about 5 weeks.
Yes.
That lasted. And I think the Cowboys were 2-2, and Landry made the decision. And because of that slow start, it is not a great APBA team.
Mm-hmm.
I really think the 68 is going to be better than that, because Meredith had his best statistical year. Perk was still strong. Reeves got hurt, but then they had Garrison and Bainham come in, and of course Hayes was amazing. Rensel was still out of jail, and So and the doomsday was really maturing.
Exactly.
The only negative with those old Cowboy teams, the kicking game is so limited.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
it bears it out. And that's what I love about APBA. The new field goal charts, they're fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's, 15 of 16 from inside 30. All those numbers are probably going to be good from inside 30, except a couple. And he's not going to have any long ones either. Good old Mike Clark.
Well, that's the other part of the charm of the game too, is that back when it was, I mean, relative to now, it's almost like semi-pro in the sense that these guys were, selling cars or building houses and selling insurance in the off season. They weren't like the hyper trained, 99.9% efficiency kickers that you have today, or anyone these,
Sure.
So again, that.
Oh, well, hell, back in the 60s, if you hit 60%, you had a great year. You really had a great year. And talking about second jobs, one of the great thrills of my youth, we grew up 20 miles south of Cleveland. So on Mondays, the Browns would have a day off. And Coe's Men's Store, they sold, upper middle level suits. They would have a Brown down there every Monday at the back of the store. So if you were a kid, your dad had to walk back through all the suits and everything. But you're sitting there talking to Dr. Frank Ryan, Jim Brown, Lou Groza,
Wow,
Jim Kanicki, Walter Johnson, Leroy Kelly. It didn't hit me at the time,
right?
but Jim Brown. Oh, it was unbelievable. And you just walk in, you don't even pay.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, that's yeah.
But those guys got an appearance fee for coming down, maybe they got it in free suits. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, hell, they were working. Lou Groza had off-season jobs. He was a legend.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Times have changed.
For sure. For sure. Well, speaking of, 68 Cowboys and the Browns, just looking back, Pro Football Reference.
Don't even bring it up. Don't even. It is the worst 3 hours of my life. Worse than the Ice Bowl. Worse than the Ice Bowl, because at least we could have won the Ice Bowl. But that playoff game, and I don't think the Jerry Rome factor was in yet, but the Browns had the Cowboys number, and they eventually, the Cowboys cut Jerry Rome, and the Browns picked him up, and he more or less coached the defense on how the Cowboys offense was going to work. Because he knew it inside now.
Yeah.
That's why I call it the Jerry Rome factor. But I think he was still a poke in 68. Dandy was the starter and Morton the backup. But yeah, that was Meredith's last game. He and Landry got into it, and Meredith just said, probably not as polite as this, but screw it. Yeah. I'm done with this. And he never played again. Perk retired. And it's the way it goes. But yeah, there were like 2 or 3 years in there. And plus, now mind you, I live 20 miles south of Cleveland. So I have to go to school the next day with all these Browns. I probably called in sick that Monday.
Exactly.
I couldn't take it. Couldn't take it.
So when you're replaying, you're like you're replaying the Dolphins now, you're going to replay the 68 Cowboys. You'll just play it right through to the playoff. And what would you do if they do win that divisional? You then have them play the Jets.
Well, a lot of the replays I don't play the full complement of teams. I wanted to get over, like last summer was the 100th anniversary of the Indians' first world championship, and the pitch that killed Ray Chapman was beamed by Carl Mays and died, and the Black Sox thing hit the fan. Okay, So it was a major season, the 100th anniversary. So what I did, I replayed all the games of the Yankees because they were competitive, and Ruth hit 59. Indians, White Sox, and Browns because George Sisler grew up in Akron and he had 420 that year. And then the rest of the league, if they were playing against one of those teams, well, that game counted. But if it was like the Senators and the Red Sox, however that game came out in real life, that's how I charted.
Okay.
So I did day by day, and I wrote a story every day with the 4 teams that played the games, and then little blurbs, score line, and guy hit 2 home runs to lead the Red Sox. It's just a little in real life, and that. So yeah, with the football, I'll do the same thing. I won't play all the games like Greg does.
Right.
I'll play the Cowboys straight through, and then just move into the playoffs as it would have happened.
Okay.
And same way with the Dolphins.
So in the 68, it had the Cowboys won, they would have faced the Vikings.
If they'd have beaten Cleveland.
Yeah, so that's okay. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. And that was a loaded Minnesota team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, year before their Super Bowl IV appearance, right? So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot going on then. Very before the merger too, all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time.
It was a great time. We lived through just a wonderful time in baseball, football, and I loved. I bought the APBA basketball game in 1970 because I was just such a huge Willis Reed, Dave DeBusschere fan. Love those Knicks. Of course, the game is totally unplayable. I did the same thing there. I played a half, but I'm still waiting to play the second half.
that seems to be the trend with that game. Yeah, we've yet to.
Yeah, I've let it soak in for half a century.
There you go.
But there's nothing to savor, believe me. Oh, the game. The best description I ever heard of the basketball was clunky.
Yeah, that's charitable. That's charitable.
Yeah.
But the cards again look great, and the boards look just.
Yeah.
As you talk about the game as a form of art, at least the aesthetic of it. Same as the bowling game too. That's an player. I mean.
Yeah, I will break down one day and get one of those on eBay.
Oh yeah.
That's because I have I kept my basketball game, and I have the boxing. They had boxing for a couple years.
Nice.
I think title bout they took over. Yeah. And that, but I never. I don't have the soccer, and I don't have one day I'll get them all.
The soccer game, actually, yeah. John Cochran, the great John Cochran, talk about the great people in the APBA community. I mean, he goes well out of his way. He was actually born in Canton, so he came out too, and he did the soccer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe he was. He lived there.
Yeah.
He had relatives there. I think he was born there. I got to go back to his. Got to repost these presentations we had, but yeah, the demo of the soccer game is actually it's quite a playable game. I think Paul Dillon, when he I'm not sure where he went, he was an advocate of the soccer game. He created a magazine called 1 for 5 for at least a volume or two, about 4 or 8 editions. But yeah, it's
I don't play that because I don't have any hook to the players.
Yeah, where's that?
I just love replaying. Well, my 68 Tigers it's like a religious experience.
That's it. Well, it's when if you collected the Topps cards or
oh yeah,
so that's it's like it's a kind of that connection kind of a thing.
Exactly, and I don't have that with the soccer at all. I'm waiting for John to come out with the APBA triathlon.
Yeah,
but
hey.
I have several concepts of that, but I don't think they'll ever get on paper.
Interesting. I actually wanted to do a game, and being a news guy, you'll appreciate this. I wanted to do something that had to do with kind of putting out a newspaper with a word game. And of course, you do the research, and there's actually a lot of newspaper games out there. Some came out
Really?
recently.
Oh,
Yeah. One called Penny Press came out. One called Stop the Presses. I mean, and it's variations of you trying to
no
find
kidding.
stories. Yeah, it's like there's anything you can conceive. I was looking back at Play because I was talking about Play games with Mike McCune, and
Yeah.
reminded me of Keith Avalone, the founder, who was an APBA fan, and I looked at his website, and I guess he got into gaming because there's a game called Dealer's Choice from the 70s about selling used cars. So any
Oh,
game
wow.
shows. Triathlon, I think people would possibly get into that, and a
I
lot of
think-
triathletes out there.
Yeah, but I think that's something you do. There's no magazines, you know.
Really?
You do it. I personally, I don't care what the guys in the States are doing. Yeah, I just mind my own business and you know, do my stuff over here. And I'm very competitive, age group wise at least.
Nice.
And so I enjoy that. And it keeps me in shape, really.
No, that's
You know,
awesome.
you go, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I don't think I may have the title of the fittest APBA player of all time.
I was going to say, it's like, wait a minute, an athlete who plays the game. I mean, there's a few folks, yeah, who had, well, Barrett played in college, I think, right? So, I mean,
Yeah,
there's some folks, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I'm just talking pure fitness. But
Well,
yeah,
true.
there probably aren't too many APBA guys that can ride a bike at 36 kilometers an hour for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll stand on that.
Whew. Yeah, that's about, yeah, rolling the dice at that point is kind of about as far as I go. Oh my goodness, no. God love you. That's awesome. Well, Bill, I think I mean, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much. Is there anything else? Anyone who,
No, we've run the gamut, and a pleasure chatting with you.
same here.
I'm passionate about it because I love it.
Yeah,
I
it
believe
is.
in the games. I've played a ton of others, but always come back to APBA. And the thing that I like to say about APBA baseball, APBA football, it's like your best friend,
Mhm.
because you go through a divorce, which I have. You have family die, which I have. And there's always that friend waiting for you in the closet to give you hours upon hours of unlimited enjoyment and take your mind off whatever may be bothering
Yeah, well said.
you.
Yes.
It's a great relief, great relief. And God bless Seitz for expanding the game national pastime. He didn't create, he expanded, and he did a hell of a job. I give him all the credit in the world. Fritz Light did a nice job up in the ante. He brought us into the, past the wheel and into the modern era. And God bless John Herson for not just perpetuating the product, but making it better.
That's
He
it.
does a hell of a job.
Yeah.
He didn't invent anything. He just makes everything better. And
And
there's something to be said about that. And when he makes it better, we all feel better because we get more enjoyment out of it.
well, it's like you said, if he hadn't been doing what he's done, then you'd be. I mean, when you look now in his how many pardon me, years of ownership, I mean, the amount of material.
About 15 years, I think.
Yeah.
About 15. Yeah. But
Yeah,
it wouldn't be around without John.
That's right. And I mean, you look
As much
now,
as much as I love the game, I wouldn't have bought it. Yeah. I wanted to retire and go swim, bike, run.
no. Yeah.
I didn't know I'd have a daughter at 64, but hey.
well, congratulations on that, sir, and thank you again for your time. It's hope we get to maybe play a game at some point here, and
Folks, if the pandemic ever ends, I do come home twice a year.
Oh, awesome, yeah. Well, and so I imagine you try to time it to a convention, perhaps.
Yeah, the two C's, convention, Christmas.
Oh, nice. There you go. Awesome. Awesome.
Hey, well, thank you for your time and appreciate the invite. Had a very delightful time and call anytime.
All right. Same here. Thanks for the stories. Great stuff, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye, Jeff.
Bye.